to watch the chatter on social media. I've watched some pretty good videos on social media. Some people are really giving some pretty nice updates. I've had 3 in-person talks about the updates, not including my office, but our office had a whole strategy on what we're going to do. And then I gave them the rationale. And then I created 2 videos because I had a couple of agents, not just in my office, that didn't understand that a buyer essentially paid the compensation. They financed it, they paid cash for it, they paid for it. So I did 2 videos on what the reality of what it is like when you're a buyer, the truth about real estate, the truth about how we purchase homes. So there's some pretty good videos out there. In addition to the fact that I even have a video that I just launched on YouTube, and it says how to buy a house without a realtor. So I either freaked all of the real estate agents out, or you actually watched it and thought this makes sense. So I actually did an entire video on how to buy a house without an agent. And then I went into why you need an agent. Some of you might want to go watch that. And I have to say, I really like working with the seller and having the buyer's agent just ask for their compensation when they write the offer, and actually educating the buyer on the process. And I'm going to tell all of you that, because today when we talk about listing to live, a part of your value proposition, or the part of the experience of working with you as a listing agent, is all of you, depending on where you work, should break out the contract and the addendums and talk about how when you go to list, and let me give you a scenario. You go to list at whatever percent it is, and then you have a section, or you don't have a section because you work for like EXP, because EXP made a public announcement and said they're not going to ask the seller to pay a buyer's agent. So no matter who you work for, let's just say the seller says, I'm not going to pay a buyer's agent. Then you break out the addendum and say, my audio's choppy. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let's do this. I'm going to start over. Oh, no, we'll do this. Tell me if it's better. Is it now? Is it better? Okay, we just take the microphone off. We don't need a mic. So, all right. I almost want to start over, but that's all right. Is it better? Yes, 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 yes. Someone said no. Now someone said, I'm starting over. I'll be back. If you are watching on YouTube, we don't know what happened. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, you guys hear me okay on YouTube. It's over here on Instagram, so I'm just starting over for them. If you are already on YouTube, you've already subscribed. List to live. No, listing leads. That's what we want. Update, put on a filter. That looks so much better. Okay, so again, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Carrie. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. Thank you for joining me on Instagram. Thank you for listening to this on my podcast. Today's conversation is around, you might as well dominate as a listing agent, especially since all of the NAR settlement updates. I truly believe all of you can hear me now. You can hear me now. It must be better. I think what happens is when I disappear, when I go away from the screen, things happen weird. So I shouldn't have never left the screen. All right. So grab your notebook. I asked the question earlier, since the NAR settlement update became official, how are all of you doing? I can honestly say some of you are doing okay, right? You're like, I'm doing good. Mina and I are going to go live on YouTube on Sunday morning before church. So if you type in the word YouTube, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you are getting my emails, you'll get Mina's. So since the NAR settlement became official, I've had the opportunity to watch the chatter on social media. We've got some nice videos. I've even created 2. I've had 3 in-person talks about the updates. My office, we had a whole brainstorming session. I talked about well, how the changes will impact real estate. I talked about how all of you, some of you work for brokerages where they are not asking the seller to pay buyer's compensation. And I actually think that's better. I don't know about all of you, but I actually think that's better. I think it's just easier. I think a part of your value proposition or a part of your process, I actually think all of you may want to show the seller the addendum. And when you show the seller the addendum, say, listen, when you go to list your property, this is my fee. What I would like you to do is you can choose if you want to offer out a fee in the contract, unless you work for a brokerage that doesn't have that option. No matter what, even if the seller says, I know what I'll pay, but I'm going to put zero in, then you show them the addendum and say, when a buyer writes an offer, the buyer's agent is going to have an addendum and the buyer is going to ask you to pay their agent. So even today, you can say, I know what it's going to be, flat fee, 1%. You're going to say, I'll split the difference. Whatever it's going to be, make that a part of the conversation and give grace to the agents that have no clue what's happening. Because I already know some agents have already written on contracts asking for money. Don't do that unless it's a part of your contract. Okay. So again, thank you all for joining me. You know the drill. Let me know where you are watching from and click on the little paper airplane and share this with a friend. So one agent during my accredited buyer course, and I've taught this at least 3 times since like the end of July. And she said, Carrie, Indiana has been doing this for the last 6 weeks and the phone calls stopped. And the phone call stopped. And I'm like, that's what I think is going to happen. No matter what state you're in Illinois, we didn't make the switch until, my hair feels frizzy, until August 17th. And I had so many agents saying why. I'm like, maybe they just had to make some updates. I don't know. It is what it is. So it does not matter where you are. Just know the phone calls will probably stop. And I have, if you call my office, because I can tell you what we're doing. If you call the office and say, what is the seller offering? Unless the seller specifically said, tell them, we are talking to our sellers and we are asking our sellers to allow us to ask the agent to just write the offer using the addendum. And here's why. I don't want to, what if the seller is offering more than what the agent offers? Now you're going to have an agent and a buyer that knows that your seller was offering more. So now negotiation changes. They might ask for that additional amount because the buyer's agent can't go up. So again, I feel like the phone calls are going to stop. And I feel like some of you just need to use the addendum, protect the seller. And really, then, it'll just be easier. That's what I think. And then just come back to November and we'll see what's happening with the DOJ. Love it. Arizona started August 1st. Indiana started 6 weeks ago. I know in Florida, we started a week before the 17th. Compensation was removed from the MLS. And I do like what our MLS did. It says, where did the compensation go? And it takes you to a link to explain what the changes were, because there are some agents that have no clue. All right. So now let's talk about listing leads. Even though I truly believe that this does impact the seller and the buyer, I just want all of you to be on the list side of the deal, right? Let's list to live. Hey, I'm coming to Fresno. Next week. I'm coming to Fresno. Come see me in person. So wouldn't you rather be on the listing side of the deal, at least today? If the market shifts, you're going to say, ooh, Carrie, I want to be a buyer. I want more buyers. I get it. So let's look at listing to live and being the voice for change. Because when I say the voice for change, I want all of you to think about how, as a listing agent, and I just mentioned this, give grace to the buyer's agent who has no clue what's happening. It doesn't, listen, there's just some people in the world that just don't have the ability to stay on top of things, or they don't want to, or maybe they just have their dual career. So give grace. Be prepared to send them the addendum, not through the multiple listing service. Don't send anything through the multiple listing service where you might have a link to compensation. Educate your sellers on the changes and be the agent that lets every buyer's agent know how to proceed. Yes, I hope all of you are giving grace in this business. We might as well be professional with each other. All right. I'm over here burning up. So how can you generate listing leads now? Tell me, for those of you that are watching me on YouTube or you're listening to the replay or you're here on Instagram, tell me, how are you generating listing leads? Anyone, go. And I actually believe that after the election, it's going to be different. I think that especially with it depends on who wins. I'll say it. Let me be bipartisan. It depends on who wins. Go vote. If you're not registered to vote, vote. But let's just say that we do get this $25,000 grant for first time home buyers. How cool will that be? That's something you can tell your sellers. So some of you are saying Remind. How else are you generating listing leads? Oh, a divorce agent. Like you're going to look for people that are going through a divorce, because that's like the listing and two buys, right? The listing and two buys. Boy, this stuff gets cooler and cooler. So let's go. Let's do this. Let me ask this question. Well, let me finish. I'm looking at my notes. Sold.com. I mean, we have all of these things you can pay for. You can pay for PropStream. You can pay for leads using Vulcan. You can pay for everything. But I'm going to go the route of, I'm going to keep money in your pocket, other than you might need a stamp. You might need some envelopes. That. Love it. Realist, Remind, Expireds, Community Farming. So I've been, if you've been watching me for a while, some of this will feel like review, although I'm going to give you some strategy. And I know some of you aren't doing the work, right? Anyone own it? Like, Carrie, I know you've been telling me, but I haven't been doing the work. So I need you to schedule yourself to do the work. Your focus for the next month is to target. Are you ready? You got a notebook? You got a notebook? Interesting. I like that. Newspaper and obituaries. Do you just send it? I'm so sorry for your loss. Call me to sell your house. How are we doing that? So your focus for the next month. You ready? Are you ready for this? It's to target expireds, your neighborhood, people you know, social media, and then I want you to leverage AI. And based on the chat, obituaries, we've got you can pay for leads. Someone said sold.com. You could use Vulcan. You can use all of these other tools. You could door knock. You could cold call, all of it. Here's the question. How many new listings do you want a month? How many new listings do you want do you want a month? How many new listings? So tell me in the chat, how many new listings do you want per month? Go. September and October are goal setting months for the coming year. I like it. Dream big. And let's just say you go basic. And I said leads, but let's just say you want one new listing a month, and maybe you want 10 leads, but you want one listing a month. Some of you said 5 to 10. Some of you say 5. Some of you say 10. Some of you are just like, let's just help me. So, okay. So again, your goal is to target expired, your neighborhood, people you know, social media. Someone said, again, the obituaries. You could go with probate. You could go with pre-foreclosures. You could go with your neighborhood. You could go with your past clients, cold call, door knock. And you're telling me how many leads you want. I want 2 transactions a month. See, very specific. September and October is when we generate leads. And I believe you can do this. And again, let's just say you go basic and you're just doing one. In no specific order, I'm going to give you ways to generate leads right now. So number 1, use Realist to look for expireds from a year ago, from years ago. So for example, if I were logged into, let's say, my MLS, and let's say I was logged into Realist, what people don't know here, let me, I'm going to look at my tools. And if you're on YouTube, you might see it. You just might see it. So when I'm in Realist, I can go and look at the bottom of the market. The other thing I can do is I can actually go over to a tool called InfoSparks. Now, while I'm loading this, I'm going to give you all of them, and then I'll come back to this. So number 1, use Realist to look for expireds from years ago, and we're going to go with the bottom of the market. if you type in the word YouTube, you will get my link to YouTube and you can subscribe and you can actually watch my replays from lives. Number 2, use Remind to target paid off properties with a high sell score. I have 15 labels right here with a high sell score. And I already have the marketing done. First page, second page. For those of you in the membership in September, we're doing a 21-day challenge. Is this the same city? Yes. 21-day challenge in the membership. Number 3, use your multiple listing service to target expireds every single day. So right now, if I were to go to my MLS and I looked at my dashboard, I have 5 expireds. And maybe I'll let you see me go after one right now. You're like, okay, Carrie, show me. So then the next one is moving things around on my other screen. So the next one is number 4, mail to pre-foreclosures near your home. Now you can do a larger marketplace, but let's just go with near your home. The 5th one is mail a market update to your sphere of influence. It could be as simple as this. It could be as simple as this. So this is, I use the local market update. And here, let me show you this one, because Broadview in InfoSparks, I couldn't go back to 2013. So I had to get the data from the MLS. And so in the city I live in, don't you like this? Came out really nice, all in Canva. I did not work hard. It took me just a few minutes. So I used the, I'm going to show you. This is the reality of all of this. So here we go. So can you see? So I have, this is July 2024. This is July 2013, detached. And then on the actual letter, I break it down using ChatGPT. Tell me you like that. Anyone? Tell me you like that. All right, back to the filter. So then you can use that. You can use this for all of the marketing. Number 5, again, I said mail a market update to your sphere. And then number 6, use AI to create a blog post for LinkedIn. I do this every week and I schedule it. I scheduled out the entire month already for LinkedIn. Number 7, use AI to create content around data. And that is what this is. So for those of you that are in the membership, you already have the prompts. If you've been in class with me, you've already had the prompts. So I created a prompt and I asked ChatGPT to write a letter and a short letter, and then it breaks down the data. So for example, in West Chicago, the difference between the median sales price from 2013 to 2024 is up 138%. Average market time is down 89%, and housing inventory is down 90%. And I know people read my blogs when I do this, and I know people get my mail because I got a lead, but I haven't converted it yet for the subdivision that we live in. So if you are like, okay, Carrie, I gave you the 7 tips. I also want you to consider adding your QR code for a landing page. You can go to smartgrowuniversity.com. And if you go to smartgrowuniversity.com, got to get this stuff that's like in my way. So if you go to smartgrowuniversity.com, I show you how to create a landing page. This is Cloud CMA. This is Cloud CMA. So you don't have to work that hard. All right. So I gave you the 7. Let me go back to Realist. So what I do is I look at InfoSparks. And what I do for InfoSparks is I would pick a neighborhood. And let's just say I'm looking at Bolingbrook. What I then do, and I'll share my Instagram. I'll share my screen in a second, is I look at Bolingbrook, detached single family, and I look for the bottom of the market. Here we go. This is what it looks like. So there's the bottom of the market right there. You see that? Yes, of course you do. So the bottom of the market here is like 2012. Then I use tools like Realist. And then and this is why you have to come to class. And these are things that anybody can teach you if you have Realist. If you don't, you would do this with another tool. But let's just say I'm looking for expireds at the bottom of the market. And I put in January 1st. And in this case, let's go back. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to 2009 through like 2016. So 2009, so January. I don't know what I did. 2009, let's see if that works. Maybe through December 31st, 2016. Did I say? I did something wrong up here, I think. So January 1st, 2009. And then I'll pick a city. So in this case, it's Bolingbrook. And then I will put in at least one bedroom. So at least is greater than one bedroom. And then I'll click search. And then I will have a list of potential leads. The sky's the limit. And there's not, and my guess is there won't be a lot. Look at that, 44. And if I sort, I can now see these say expired. Don't panic. Scroll over to the right. And then what I want you to look at is, oh, wait, the recording date. Look at the recording date. And you might find that some of these properties sold, but they were never relisted. So I have a few that may have sold, but they were not in the multiple listing service. So again, you can use tools like Realist to farm. So if you have never, ever done this, you have no excuse. I just gave you a strategy. The second one is, let me turn that off for those of you at home, you don't really want to watch that the whole time. The second one was, so the first one was Realist, expireds. Remind to target paid off with a high sell score. So I have, this was it this one? It was one of these. I have two lists. One of them was high sell score. And so they're going to get the same mailer, and I'm handwriting the envelopes, 15 of them, handwriting. The next thing I'm doing is, use the MLS to target expireds every single day. So here I am. I'm literally going to do this. I'm not sure. For those of you on YouTube, I'm not going to open up my MLS, but I am going to pray that I have a pen. Mark? Oh, I got one. Looks like a baseball bat, but I got one. So what I'm going to do first is I am in my multiple listing service, and I have 5 potential opportunities. The next thing I'm going to do is I would put these maybe into a favorites folder. I have taught this before. If you're like, oh my gosh, Kara, I want you to show me. Literally just on your dashboard. If you're in my market, it's on the dashboard. If you're in Florida, just go look for the expireds and then create a folder. So I'm going after the expireds. What's today's date? August 23rd. 23rd, 2024. And so now I'm adding these to favorites. So my first one, do you want to know what city it's in? Sure you do. Country Club Hills. So I'm going to actually click to see if the property is listed in my office. I know it's not. We don't have any Joliet listings right now. The next thing I do is I look at the listing history. So if you're taking notes, this applies to any market. Number 1, go find the expireds that happened at midnight. Number 2, make sure the property was not in your office. Number 3, look at the property history to make sure it's not relisted. This one says contingent expired. I'm out because this is a lazy agent. It is what it is. They're lazy. They should have extended the listing. So I go to the next one and I look at listing and property history. And this one says it was temporarily off the market, and then it was reactivated. Then it went to temp, and it's gone. I mean, it's back on it's expired. It's still expired right this second. So the next thing I do, so number 1, if you're taking notes and you're like, oh, she goes fast, this is the cost of free. Number 1, go find the expireds. Number 2, put them in a folder. Number 3, look to see if the property was listed in your office. Not listed. Number 4, look at the listing history. Number 5, if it is truly expired, then go to Realist, Remind, or RPR, or your tax records, or the assessor's office to get the owner's name. So I'm going to use Remind. So now I'm opening Remind. And while that's happening, I got Mark's business card. I've got my business card. I'm opening my note card while that's happening. And then I'm just, you can just go to Office Depot. You can go to TJ Maxx. You can go somewhere to get some stickers. So I'm going to stick this at the top of my card. Listen, this is the win. This is me showing you how I work. I want them to call Mark. So you see it? You saw it. Good. All right. So now I am in I'm in Remind. I've got the owner's name. So I don't know what step this is, but whatever the next step is, it could be 5 or 6. I'm going to scroll down to see in the public records to see if the address is different. The address is exactly the same. So I'm going to mail this to the owner with the same address, but now it's going to be dear and the person's name, because this is going in the mail now. I'm telling you what I'm doing. And then I'm going to say, I see your home is no longer being marketed. When you decide to interview new agents, call, text, or email. Call, comma, text, comma, or email. Thank you, Mark. Or sincerely, Mark. I'm putting his phone number down. Don't call me, call Mark. Even though I did put my card in. Only because, so I put our cards in. Notice I didn't use the side with the photos. When they take them out, they'll see our photos because we're also in Florida. So I take this. I'm going to stuff my envelope. But before I stuff the envelope, watch me work. I'm putting the owner's name. You know I need my glasses, right? I'm putting the address. Tell me you're going to do this. Anyone? You're watching me work. Anybody? Tell me you're going to do this while I'm working. There was one agent that was in my ABR class, and she said she gets most of her business from expireds and doing this. She used to work for my office. Done. In the envelope, it goes. Thank you for allowing me to do some work today. I don't want to lick that. I'm not licking that. I'm going to old school go and get a paper towel when I'm done. New school, I guess. Everything now has, it's sticky. So I'm putting the stamp on there. All my people that work for the post office in the building, they're like, Carrie, this is awesome. I'm just going to use this. That's my label. It's done. Boom. Then I go back to the MLS because my MLS allows me to have favorites. And because I put this in favorites every year, here's the strategy. Every year, I create a folder called 2024, 2025 expired. So January 1st. So because I actually sent this one, I'll go into the favorites folder and I will move this property to my 2024 favorites folder. Check the box, click favorites, and then I will move it to my 2024 expireds. And here's why. I like to track what I've done because if any of you or your brokerage managing brokers call and say, Carrie sent out a marketing piece to my seller, we've got a problem, I can come here and say, yes, that went out on August 23rd. It is August 25th. We were in compliance with license law. Boom. Tell me you like that. Tell me you like that on YouTube. Tell me. So that was my targeting expireds every single day. This you can do even if there's no expireds. You will work the hardest on a holiday. You will work the hardest at the end of the month, and you will work the hardest on January 1st. Oh, these are stickers because I was a member of Brian Buffini, but you can make your own. You can make your own with real labels. And it says, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. You could go probably, make some of these like in Canva if you want to get really fancy. But again, let me help you save some money. Just go buy, a box of 3,000 of these. And so this is a label for my office, but you could also create your own labels and put them inside the envelope. Don't work too hard. Like you can be professional without, going fancy. Save some money. Or better yet, just stick the business cards in the envelope. The reason why I like to stick the card in with stickers, because you can go over to Office Depot today and get the colored labels. They don't have to say anything. But if you, the reason why I stick the business card to the back of the envelope, let me do it again so you can see it. I mean, the no card is because, so here's my label. Here's Mark. Here's me. And usually it's just Mark, but sometimes I like to test to see if they call because there's two of us. The reason why I do this is because when you open it, it doesn't go flying. Tell me you got that? So now it's at the top in here. I truly believe that I need to do a class on professionalism. I mean, business skills, because I am amazed at how many people send me a DM. They don't know how to write a letter. They don't know how to write an envelope, because you're supposed to write the address in the middle. I write pretty big, so it could end up to the right a little bit. But some people don't even know how to write a letter. They don't even know that the stamp goes in the top right-hand corner of the envelope. They don't know. You can put the label on the back. It almost looks like an invitation, or the label can go in the top left-hand corner. Like, some people don't even know what it's like to be an administrative assistant. They didn't get those basic business skills, or they don't even, some of you, if you're here and you've done this, I'm talking to you, but nobody knows it's you. Some of you send me messages and you're like, Carrie, I have a question. Let me tell you how I think. Just ask me the question. For real, seriously, just ask me the question and start with hello, good morning. Some people, I'm amazed at the text messages I get in the morning, and people are just like, they just go right into it. I'm like, good morning. There is something about just common courtesy, and I just think somehow we lost that. Again, hey, Carrie, I got a quick question. Get into it. Don't say, hey, Carrie, can I ask you a question? If you ask me, can you? I'm like, no. That's how I'm thinking. Sarcastically, I'm thinking that. Let me tell you what I do first. If you can't tell me, if I can't go to your profile and see who you are, or if you don't get into the question, I go look at your profile, and then it tells me everything about you. Because if your profile doesn't say who you work for, it doesn't say what state you're in, I can't even find your name because you decided you wanted a creative Instagram account. It's fine. You just got to work harder to brand yourself. I don't know who you are, and so I'm like, hey, and I will respond with the best realtor, whatever you titled yourself, although that's a violation of the trademark. I don't want to be irritated, but I'm like, how can you expect to sell a house if your profiles are jacked up? How? So update your profiles, and then when you just get into the question, you can say, hey, Carrie, can I ask a question? Yes. But I would just some, and again, this is how I think, just ask the question. If you're someone that's like afraid to ask, and you're like, hey, I know you're busy. I know you're booked, busy, scheduled, but I have a quick question. If you have time, can you answer it? Get into the question, because people will appreciate the fact that now I don't have to go back and forth. That's the same thing that happens when, and Mark and I debate this all the time. Mark will call somebody and say, hey, call me back. I'm not calling you back. If you text me and say, hey, Carrie, can you call me? Just call me. Don't ask me. Now, I'm probably not answering your call, but first of all, if you call me and you know who you are, if you call me and you don't leave a voicemail, I'm not calling you back. If you text me, hey, Carrie, can you call? Nope. Hey, Carrie, I have a question, especially in text. I'm really not answering because I am a real estate agent. You could DM me and ask me to look. I'll look. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have time to do everybody's profile audit, but here's my tip. Go look at my profile. Go look at agents that are top producers' profiles. They tell you who they work for, and they give you a way to be contacted. I'll tell you what to do. Who do you work for? How can I contact you? And what's your name? Even if your title is, because I know who One Unique Broker is. I know who it is. But even if your title is One Unique Broker, in your profile, tell us your whole name, not some of your name. And if you use a nickname, what is on the Department of Regulations website? Because you could be in non-compliance. Are you compliant? So yeah, I went off on a way tangent. I can't sell you anything if you send me a postcard and it doesn't, you can handwrite everything. So here's a challenge. If you're not sure, ask your managing broker to show you how to write a letter. Ask your managing broker to, or go ask ChatGPT. Let me just make it real. So here, let me review. Because your goal, the reason why you want to list to live right now is because at least you can be the change agent. You can change the narrative when it comes to people that ask you questions about, will your seller compensate? Like, don't call me and ask that. Right. So if you have questions, throw them in the Q&A so I don't miss them. So number one, here's what I want all of you to do. I want you to write down how many listing leads you want a month, and then how many leads do you want that to close, right? In September and October, those are the goal setting months. So let's just say you want one deal, one listing a month. Use Realist to look for expireds from years ago and InfoSparks. Number two, use Remind to target paid off properties with a high sell score. I have my marketing all ready to go. Number three, use your multiple listing service to target expireds every day. Proof. I just showed you. I actually just went through the process of writing the expired, and I got 4 more to go. Well, actually just 3, because one of them was contingent. Number 4, mail to pre-foreclosures near where you live. If I were to look at, let's say, Remind, I'll launch this while I'm talking. So look for pre-foreclosures near your home. You can go out further. Number 5, mail a market update to your sphere of influence and your neighborhood. Number 6, use AI to create a blog post for LinkedIn. I do this every week. It's already scheduled. For those of you that want to learn how to do this, type in the word YouTube and go to my YouTube channel and watch the playlist on ChatGPT. And number 7, use AI to create content around data for social media and add a lead capture form. You can go to smartgirluniversity.com to learn how to create your own landing pages, or just use Cloud CMA. So if I were looking for pre-foreclosures near my home, I would type in my home address, and and so I'm in Remind, and then I'm just going to click the map. Come see me in class. And by the way, if you're in our market, you can have an instructor come to your office. You just need 8 agents. There's another instructor in the room. Go follow Justin Letheby. He's in the feed. I just saw him pop up. So I'm going to look for off market near my house. I'm going to put in a minimum of 2 bedrooms, and then I'm going to look for pre-foreclosures. And let's see what I get. So near my home, let's go out a couple of miles. There are 17 pre-foreclosures. I can send the same market update. You have no excuse. Literally no excuse. You can do this. So yeah. Again, type YouTube to subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the videos using ChatGPT. There's a whole playlist. And then make sure to subscribe to Mina's channel, MJ Blazy, MJ Blazy, because we're going to go live on Sunday before church. If I were to chat, if you were like, well, Carrie, how do I get started? Out of everything I said, pick one. Pick one thing. If you have never taken the classes on Remind, Realist, or RPR, take those classes with your multiple listing service. Pick one thing. And if it's handwriting the note cards to expireds, they just happen, do that every day. I think looking at expireds from the bottom of the market is better. So again, Realist, you can find pre-foreclosures. Remind, you can find pre-foreclosures. And RPR, you can find pre-foreclosures. I saw a question. So are you, use that Q&A in the bottom right-hand corner. Are you cross-referencing against your competition? Since that usually shows if they're for sale by owner. So remember, for those of you that are targeting for sale by owners, Zillow is a real estate company. So don't do that. ForSaleByOwner.com is a real estate company. ByOwner.com is a real estate company. So my recommendation is use Realist, use Remind, use RPR, and choose off market. Off market, because if you go after, if you were to go out, it frustrates me when agents use other companies' websites. So if you're using Zillow, Redfin, they're real estate companies. use the tools that you pay for because they're not real estate companies. Does that make sense? If you are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you are listening to the replay on a podcast or anywhere